Hi! Welcome back, Fantasy Fiction Fanatics. It's great to see you again, and I hope you're doing well. Today we're going to be doing another character analysis on Bob the Skull. And before we get into the class today, I do want to mention a call out or a shout out to my brother, who is just starting to do some stuff with video games. So I don't know how much any of you guys really like doing video games or not, but I wanted to give him a shout out in case you do like video games. You can go ahead and check him out. He is on YouTube and on Twitch under Cyricrol, and I will link that down below for you so you can check him out if you end up being interested. If not, no big deal. I just thought I would give him a shout out since he's starting up something brand new, and for those of you who are interested can go ahead and check him out. Alright, so let's go ahead and start the class today. I really love Harry Dresden, as I'm sure a lot of you know, especially if you watched my top 10 fantasy book series. And of course, Harry Dresden was my top number 1 series. So I'm very, very excited to talk about Bob the Skull today. If you haven't read the Harry Dresden Files, I need you to go ahead, pause your whole life, whatever you're doing, work, school, no matter what, just put it all on hold and go read the Harry Dresden Files. Oh wait, it's okay, you can pause, come back. It's important. It's a life essential. Go ahead. Oh wait, it's good. Just pause everything. Pause life. You back? Okay, great. Let's go ahead and continue on our little adventure here with our character analysis. For those of you who have not read Harry Dresden, again, I would suggest going and reading that before listening to this so you don't get any spoilers, but in case you want to watch it anyway, just to see what kind of character Bob the Skull is, I will go ahead and just do a little recap of the Harry Dresden Files. The Harry Dresden Files is a series about a wizard named Harry Dresden, and he lives in Chicago as a private investigator, and he advertises under wizard under the Yellow Pages. I know now in the days, like, you know, the Yellow Pages are like, what are that? But yeah, so he's in the Yellow Pages, and people come to him to solve mysterious events that they can't figure out what's going on with their lives, and often he helps the Chicago PD with any weird cases they come across. It's an excellent series. We'll definitely be reading it eventually on this channel, so hopefully you will be excited for that. Alright, so let's go ahead and get into Bob the Skull. And we're going to start off with a little profile or a little recap of who Bob the Skull is. Bob the Skull is not the main character, like I mentioned before. That's Harry Dresden. And it is a first-person point of view, so Harry is definitely the main character. But Bob the Skull is a main... I don't know if I really say main, actually. But he is a reoccurring supporting character. He is a knowledge spirit who lives in a skull that Harry gave to him, and he lives on Harry's mantle in his basement, I guess you could say laboratory, or maybe a workshop, you could call it. So yeah, he lives in that skull on the mantle, and he just hangs out there for whenever Harry needs him. He can only come out of the skull with Harry's permission, and the skull is something that actually keeps him alive. He cannot live out in the open world without anything to help protect him, because the way magic works in this story is that when the new day happens, the sunrise comes up, and it is a very powerful negator for magic. So if he were to be out in the world with no protection, he could die from each sunrise. So the skull keeps him protected. Harry took him from his previous owner, Justin Dumorne, which was Harry's teacher, his foster dad, I guess you could say, and became Bob's owner. So he took it from Justin, and now he's the owner of Bob. His personality, Bob's personality, changes based on which owner he has. So we really only see him as Harry being the owner for most of the series. so we see his personality mostly from the point of view of who he is being owned by Harry. He loves romance novels and often bargains with Harry to get new ones that he can read. And it's pretty funny because it's described as like him reading them and the pages just flip and you're not really sure, like it's a skull looking at a book that's like turning its own pages. It's pretty funny. He also really likes sex, though we don't know how that works, and I'm pretty sure Harry and the rest of us don't really want to know how that works. And he has orange lights that light up in the skull to show that he is awake and that he is interacting with Harry. Otherwise, when he's not, he's either dormant or asleep or whatever you'd like to call that, his skull has no lights at all. It's just like an empty skull. Okay, so there is our brief profile of Mr. Bob the Skull. Let's go ahead and go on to his traits as a character. He is funny and often the comedic relief in the Dresden Files. He is very smart. He is wise / knowledgeable. Wise, we're going to say occasionally, but he is knowledgeable all the time. He is definitely annoying. He is dirty-minded, which you will find every single time you talk to Bob. There's something that relates to sex in his talk. He is a smart aleck and sarcastic. And he is loyal in a limited capacity. So I don't want to say he's loyal all the time because, as we mentioned before, he is stolen from owner to owner. Whoever owns him is who he's loyal to, so he is loyal to Harry since he owns him, but it's going to be a limited trait because it's based on who owns him and who he is supposed to be helping. And this isn't really a trait, but I'm going to classify him as a sidekick / helper character. Alright, that went actually pretty quickly getting through all of that. Let me know if you have any other traits or anything else that you'd like to add in that beginning section of our analysis down below in the comments. I'd love to hear any of your ideas about Bob the Skull. And if you want me to elaborate on any of the traits that I do not end up elaborating on throughout this analysis, and let me know whatever you want me to do a little bit more detail on down below by the end of the video. So Bob is a very, very likable character. I can't imagine anybody reading the Harry Dresden Files and not loving Bob. I really just, it doesn't compute in my brain that anyone would not love Bob, despite how annoying he is. But he's a really, really great character. In a way, he kind of reminds me of, I guess I'm going to kind of relate him to Tasloff in the fact that, like, he's the character that you always find funny and hilarious, and the character that helps out the other characters, but at the same time it's just always annoying and you're just like, I will strangle you. And it's wonderful. So that's my closest relation to a Dragonlance character, which we've been reading, so someone that you might know, though he's definitely not the same kind of character. But I would say that that's the kind of similar role that he has in the comedic department. Alright, so let's go ahead and move on to the role in the story that Bob has. And his first role is to be the jester. Just like I was talking about just now, he is the comedic relief, he is the funniness in the story, so he is the jester. And he is always got something funny or sarcastic to say. And this is where we also get into the annoying part, because despite how serious Harry is, and despite how much he wants to get a move on with whatever's happening, there's always something happening with Harry and something that's going wrong. He comes to Bob for help. He comes because he needs help. He doesn't know what he's doing. And Bob is always being sarcastic or funny or annoying or something. He's always got some kind of comment that Harry just wants to punch him in the face. I don't think there is any book where he talks to Bob and he does not just want to strangle his imaginary neck. For real. And sometimes I totally get it, and other times I'm just like, come on, Harry, how can you just not love Bob in this moment? He always sees the good, funny portions. He always has some kind of something to say to make you laugh and to make you just feel like this is the essence of life. It's not taking yourself too seriously. So it kind of gets on Harry's nerves, but at the same time, you can really tell that Harry loves Bob very, very much. Really cares about Bob. So yeah, he's the comedic relief for the audience, not so much for the character, for Harry. And Harry often has to scold Bob and be like, listen, be serious for once in your life. Tell me what I need to know. This is not a joking matter. This is a life or death matter. And that's not to say that Bob can never be serious, because he definitely can be, and there are definitely moments when he is very, very serious, even to Harry's surprise. But 95% of the time, you're just like, come on, Bob. Come on, this is not the time. And he also, Harry also gets very mad at Bob's lack of seriousness, and sometimes he can even be a little aggressive with his words toward Bob, because he just cannot take it with all the other stuff that's going on in his life. He just cannot take Bob for one more second. As for his second role in the stories, he is the guide/mentor character. He is the one that Harry comes to for help, especially with magic. Harry is not all-knowing. He does not know absolutely everything that there is to do with magic, because magic is very, very complicated, very, very in-depth in this world that Jim Butcher has created. And so Bob is the character that he goes to when he has questions on how magic works, on what his limitations are, on what options he has when fighting enemies, when he's got different situations. Bob is the character that he comes to for knowledge on how to do it, especially with potions. Harry does not know a lot of potions off the top of his head, so he works on them with Bob, and Bob tells him the instructions step by step. This is how you create this potion, or this is what you need to do for this potion. So Bob is not realistically an all-knowing spirit, but this kind of the term I would apply to him is an all-knowing spirit, because he retains knowledge. He is a knowledge spirit, a spirit that is made to take in knowledge and to know everything that he learns, and to impart that knowledge to wizards who own them. So it's his job to let Harry know the knowledge that he has. If he doesn't have the knowledge for whatever reason, because he hasn't come across it or whatever else, a lot of times Harry will have him venture out of his skull, mostly by taking over his cat, and will go ahead and go out into the world and do the research and find out what the information he needs and bring it back to him. And he will then store that in his own brain for if, say, somebody else took over ownership of him, he would still have that knowledge for the next person. Or for Harry again, if he ends up needing the knowledge again because he doesn't remember. That kind of stuff. So basically he's just all the information that Harry needs. He gathers it, he already knows it, and he imparts that knowledge to Harry. He cautions him when he needs to be cautioned, he tells him the instructions, and he guides Harry through the magical world and the magical elements that Harry does not already possess. So Bob is really a very important character, even if he is not a main contributor to the actual story, and like going out and being a sidekick in the fact of like Batman and Robin both being in the field together. But a lot of the time Harry would not be able to do what he wants to do and to complete these cases without Bob, because Bob is the one that he goes to when he has questions, especially since the White Council and other wizards are not Harry's best friend, so it's not like he has anywhere else to go either. So Bob is actually a very important person and a very important role in Harry's life, especially since, he's also likes Bob a lot. I mean, Bob is really a friend, even if Harry doesn't want to admit that. You could just tell. So those are his two main roles. It's just the jester and the guide/mentor character. So the next thing we want to discuss is what does he bring to the story? And he actually brings quite a lot. Like I said, he is not necessarily a big front-running character, but he is an important person, an important spirit in the story, because without Bob, a lot of things could not progress. And the first thing is things that we've already mentioned before now with his role as Jester, is he is the comedic relief. He's the comedic relief, like I said, not so much necessarily for Harry, but for the audience, especially since Harry goes through a lot of struggles, and Jim Butcher puts a lot of hard things on Harry's shoulders, as well as the audience as we read it. It's nice to have a little bit of a break from all of the running around, all of the bad guys attacking him, all of the times Harry almost dies. It's kind of nice to have a moment where it's not all just about dying every 5 seconds. It's not just all about, evil creatures that are going to come and get him if he doesn't get them first. We have a bit of a moment to breathe and to regroup and to make a plan and to have a little bit of lightheartedness, especially as a reader. And also for Harry to, even though Bob annoys the crap out of him, I don't think that Harry ever would get rid of Bob if he had a choice not to. He gives knowledge that Harry needs to complete his jobs. Like I mentioned, as a guide or mentor, he is very essential to Harry being able to stay alive in almost every single book, because he is the one that knows the stuff that Harry doesn't know and helps him formulate the plans and helps him figure out what to do when he doesn't know, when he is out of his element and needs a little bit of advice. Bob is the person that helps him make sure that he can complete the tasks he needs to stay alive and to solve the crimes that he is being asked to solve, either as a PI or for the Chicago PD. He's also a friend for Harry. Harry has very, very few friends, and though I don't know if Harry would say that Bob is a friend, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, is that I definitely believe that Harry and Bob are friends, even if Harry would like to deny that fact. I think even Harry believes that Bob is someone very special to him, and he really cares about Bob. Not just because he gives him the knowledge that he needs, but I do think that he sees his relationship with Bob as a personal one, and he really takes care of Bob and would not want Bob to be hurt or to go to another owner that would abuse him. He imparts knowledge to the readers. Bob is very, very important in his role of making it so that way us as a reader can figure out how magic works. So let me go ahead and explain that a little bit. When you have a book and you have a character who already knows something and another character that already knows something, you can't really just say, oh, hey, you know how such and such and such works? And then the other character goes, oh yeah, you do this and this and this and this. It's not going to be a good way of writing a book when both characters know what they're talking about, but they're explaining in detail to each other who already know how it works. You're just going to be like, what's the point of that? Reading it, that's not natural. That's stupid. Sometimes that is a case where it can work out, but a lot of times, especially with something that's really detailed, you're not going to have two characters that both know what's going on explain it to each other in detail, just so the reader can know what's happening. So Bob is the person that Harry is going to for knowledge, and that makes it so that way Bob can impart to us how magic works, because Harry doesn't know and we don't know, and it's very detailed and complicated, so we both kind of in a way are going to Bob and allowing us to have a moment to explain how things work in this world, how we can develop the magic and its rules, and having the reader know what those rules are comes from Bob and Harry not knowing what he's doing, and so Bob is filling both of us in together. It allows that opportunity, instead of Harry going to another wizard and saying, hey, we both know how this particular spell works, but we're going to explain it in detail just so the reader can understand it, is not going to work. So we wait till moments that Harry doesn't know what he's doing. He comes to Bob for advice, and Bob imparts it to both of us and explains the rules to both of us. So he really creates that opportunity for everybody, characters and non-characters, to understand what's going on in the story, how the magic's going to work, how the plan is going to work, and understanding everything that Harry understands. All right, let's see, what else do I got? All right, so that's going to be it for my list of what he brings to the story. Let me know down below if you have anything else you'd like to add to that list. I know it was kind of quick going through them, but since Bob is not a huge main character that's at the forefront of the action, he's a little bit easier to dissect and to see what he's doing through the story, and isn't quite as big of an analysis, so that's why it's going a little bit quicker today. All I have left is his goals. So again, anything previous, if you have something to add or you want me to go in a little bit more detail, I didn't quite address it as much as you'd like, or you have questions or whatever else, leave them down below. Okay, so for his goals, I have two main goals that I have listed. The first one is his goals are linked to his owners, since he is loyal to whoever owns him. So he doesn't really have his own goals. He is very much attached to, he wants to happen whatever his owner wants to happen. So whatever Harry would like is what Bob would like, in the sense of the story, what his main goals for the story are. So for each book, whatever he comes up says, this is the knowledge I need. If he doesn't have it, his goal is to then go get it, because Harry will be like, hey, go out and research this and come back and let me know what you find. Or if Harry says, hey, I want this result, he's like, okay, my goal is to impart the knowledge that you need in order to complete this goal. So in a lot of ways, Bob's main purpose and goals in the story are very tied to Harry's, since he is loyal, and all of his aspect goes toward helping Harry complete whatever needs to be happening for him. That does not mean that he just agrees with Harry all the time. He can be like, no, we don't want to do that. No, Harry, do you really want to do this? Because you could die, like that kind of stuff. He's very, he doesn't have to necessarily just be like, okay, like a mindless robot, you ask for this question, I get back this answer. It's still, he's his own person, and he has his own personality, even if that personality is tied to the personality that best fits Harry's character. Which, what does that say about Harry? If his personality is based off of what is a good personality for Harry, and he's freaking annoying and dirty-minded and obsessed with sex. Let me know what you think of that down below. Anyway, sorry, total like blank on there for a second. So basically, even though he has his own personality and his own way of saying things, and he doesn't just mindlessly agree with Harry, his goals still are to align with Harry's, to not get Harry killed, but to try and get Harry to have whatever it is that he needs in order to complete whatever he's doing. And then the second one is kind of similar, that because he doesn't have his own goals, he is a very unique character. Usually a character has their own goal in mind, like something that, sure, they might be tied to another person, they might be loyal to another person, kind of like Edmund. That's the last character analysis that we did. Edmund had his own personal goals and the goals that were with his family, like the ones that he is loyal to his family. So there's several different kind of goals that he has, a personal character goal and the goal that might relate to other characters and be tied to them. But because Bob literally can't leave his skull without Harry's permission, because he is just a knowledge spirit, because his knowledge and his resources are used for Harry's goal, it's basically all linked to Harry, his owner. He is a very unique character who doesn't actually have a personal character goal, other than, if you're going to count this, which I totally do, his goal is to be released from his skull so he can go, be free for a while and have sex, which, again, we don't really want to know how that's possible. All we know is that apparently that's what he does when he's out. And then 2, his goal is to also get those romance novels from Harry. So his personal goal is not a goal for the whole story. It is not reason for his character to exist. But he does have motivations. His goal is to be released so he can go have some fun out in the world and to get his romance novels in the hope that Harry will buy him a new one for whatever he's doing. And you can obviously see that he exasperates Harry for both of those goals. But they're kind of like the best, most simple goals ever. Like, come on, really. That's, to me, that's life. Like, you know, that's life goals myself, is like just to be happy, to go out in the world and have some fun, and to get some romance novels. Like, can't get more better than that, right? Anyway, if you have anything more to say about Bob the Skull, because that is all I have for today written on my trusty dusty notes here that I came up with. If you have anything more to say, or you want to discuss any of the aspects a little bit further, go ahead and leave your comments down below, or you're welcome to go ahead and visit my Twitter, which is going to be at fantasyfiction1. I'll also leave the link down below. And just go ahead and ask me on there or down on the comments. Either way is great. And I will see you next time for the next video. I will be trying to get up some more of my writing videos, and I will be putting up the next Dragonlance video as well. So go ahead and stay tuned for those classes. And I will see you next time. Bye!